Coventry left. Great goal. Dion Dublin. Classic header. No more than Coventry deserve. They've been knocking at the door, and now they've found the way through.
It goes towards Best. It's 1-0 to Coventry. The man in the mask has broken the deadlock. Jamie Allen threads the ball through. Fantastic finish from Matty Gordon. Barely 90 seconds gone.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sky Blue Fans TV. My name's Mark Smith, and safe to say it's been a fairly quiet weekend, I hear, in Blackpool. Not much happened on the football side. Oh, no, sorry, we won 4-1. A few results have gone our way, and we are within touching distance of playoffs, just 3 points away. So, joining tonight, I've got three guests, all esteemed Coventry City fans. Introducing first of all Josh Shale from the All Things Sky Blue show, Twitter show, which is on tonight at 9 o'clock. Josh, welcome to Sky Blue Fans TV. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me. A little bit jealous still from yesterday. I couldn't make it, but hopefully by the Stoke game I'll be over it.
Well, that makes two of us, mate. I'll tell you that much. But the good news is we've got some guests on who were at Blackpool, so I'm going to bring them on now. First of all, Ken Stewart. Ken, good to have you on once again.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Very good evening to all. Very good evening. I've made it back safe and sound. Miles is still en route.
Yes, yeah. There's been a few comments about where Miles is, but he's en route home, so he won't be on tonight, but he's en route home. And last but not least, we've got Victoria Oakes, who's going to add on now. Vicky, good to have you on. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Mark. I'm surprised how bright Ken looks. I thought Ken would be looking a bit worse for wear. You're looking all right, Ken.
I think I look a bit different this morning at 10 o'clock when I got up.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a bit more about the actual day out of Blackpool, but we'll concentrate the first sort of half of the show on the game yesterday. So let's kick things off with the team news before the start of the game. 3 changes were announced in the team sheet that Mark Robins made. Pankasi Dabo returning to the starting 11. Ben Sheaf also returning to the starting 11. And Tyler Walker made a first start in quite a while. Godden dropping off to the bench. Maguire also on the bench. And Burrows, I think, might be on the bench as well. What was your view from the fans' side, Ken, on the team? Was it a team you was expecting to see or not?
Yeah, well, we got a little insight and that we had a funny feeling that Walker would start. So we got some information given us by somebody who knew somebody. So we didn't know whether to believe it or not. But we had a funny feeling that Walker would start, and so it be. It did happen. So, I was quite surprised, to be fair. I thought he would start with Godden, but obviously he'd give Walker a chance. And to be fair, I thought he did all right. He did okay, and he's done okay, to be honest. On the last couple of occasions he's come on, so he probably deserved his start. And Robin sees him in training, doesn't he? So he knows the best. So whatever team he picks, we've got to back, really. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I thought he did himself okay. He did a good performance yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Vicky, we'll bring Josh in after. Vicky, what was your thoughts on the team? Was you happy about 11?
Yeah, it was nice to see Sheaf back, wasn't it? I thought that made a big difference.
Yeah,
I was really pleased to see him back. And the Walker one was an interesting one, I thought. Godden has probably been a little bit quiet last couple of games, and I think with the squad size we've got, if we can get Walker actually firing and the striker that we thought he was when we signed him, it can only be good for our sort of playoff push, can't it, really? You do need sort of a bit of squad depth, and so to be able to bring in something a bit different and maybe surprise teams, because they know we're sort of fairly settled otherwise, aren't we? So maybe surprise teams with something different, I think it could only be good for us, really. So
yeah. Josh, obviously your thoughts on the team. The interesting thing for me was the fact that tactically we didn't play like a number 10. We kind of went sort of, I suppose we could say number 10, maybe Hamer pushing forward, but it looked to me more of a 3-5-2. Was you happy with the lineup from what you saw yesterday?
I was happy. I think I agree with Ken and Vicky. I think Walker, he didn't set the world alight, but he looked lively and he looked busy, which is something that we've not really seen from him too much when he has played. And as you say, Mark, it was good to see your likes of Eccles pushing forward and Hamer dropping in as and when. I think over the course of 90 minutes, that's going to help you. That number 10 role, you don't do as much running as opposed to sitting. So it's good to see them interchanging. I mean, I don't know about you guys, Ken and Vicky may disagree, but I thought first half, we were all outstanding, every single player. The only person I thought looked off it massively was Dabo. I just think that in front of the fans, he's playing down that side in front of 4,000 nearly Cov fans. I thought even his body language, I think Oggy referred to it in commentary on iFollow or on the radio, just didn't look promising at all. And if I was Robbins, I'd have took him off at half time.
Yeah, he looked a bit shaky, didn't he, to be fair? And there's a lot of fans round by us who were having to go at him. But he did improve, obviously, in the second half. But he did look very shaky. And it seemed to give Blackpool ammunition. That was our weak link, if you like. And they played a lot of balls down that side, didn't they? To try and take advantage. And I think they realised early on that Dabo probably wasn't quite with it in the first half. But yeah, it was. I'd probably agree with you there. Dabo did look the only suspect player, certainly in the first half, anyway.
And it sort of comes back to bite you in the backside, really, because he doesn't score, but he goes close, doesn't he? I think it's added time in the first half. That was the first time he looked decent.
That was the old Dabo that we know, don't it? Cut in, have a shot. That's what we're missing. You don't see enough of it, to be fair, lately.
Yeah, I thought Dabo had a stinker first half. I thought it was shocking. I mean, the first 3 minutes, he miscontrols the ball. CJ Hamilton probably should be scoring that. It hits the outside post and goes wide, and the warning signs were there. I don't know. It's just lack of concentration. I mean, I just don't understand. He was rested clearly for the Wigan game. Clearly for Robbins had him in mind for the Saturday, but what do you put that down to? Is that just poor mental preparation? I don't know. It just didn't make sense to me. It was strange.
It was very strange, to be fair. I can't put a finger on it. He has been like that sort of throughout the season, hasn't he? We know what he can do. We all know he's a good player on his day. But he tends to be, certainly lately, a bit hit and miss. And certainly the first half on Saturday, he was very much miss rather than hit. Because we could all see because he was, I'd say, where the fans were in the ground, he was on that side, and we could all, everybody was having to go at him. He just wasn't picking the ball up, wasn't tracking back, and he was just, we could see that it's going to cause us problems.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the first half. I thought overall, the start of the game, I thought we played really positively. The atmosphere was absolutely amazing, but we'll come to the atmosphere later on. We scored in the first half through Ben Sheaf. Vicky, was a great goal, wasn't it? Good
cracking goal.
It was good. Good work by Victor Yokerez on the left-hand side, and a fantastic finish by Sheaf in the top corner.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Sheaf's got that in his locker, hasn't he? I mean, I think that really it's probably been a problem all season. That really Eccles, Hamer, and Sheaf have all got that sort of goal in them, and we probably don't score enough of those sorts of midfielders running onto the edge of the box type of goals. Really, we should have that more often. Yeah. But I thought it was a cracking goal, and just it was nice because you're always worried, aren't you? Like you took a big follow in, there's like a lot of noise, and you're thinking you don't want it to turn into a bit of a damp squib of an occasion. So it was nice to get that goal and to sort of add to the positivity really of the sort of the game. So yeah, that was good.
I just like the fact that throughout that first half we were on the front foot, Ken. I mean, it was one of them. At the start of the game, I have to be honest, I thought it might be a tough game at Blackpool, bearing in mind they've just beaten QPR 6-1. But I thought up until the goal, I thought our attitude and application to the game was spot on. I don't know what your views were.
Yeah, it's always a difficult place to go, Blackpool. We haven't got a great record there over the years, but okay, we won last year when Big Vic scored, but I've seen us get beaten quite heavily a few times in Blackpool, so it's not been a great ground for us. But and especially after them scoring 6 against QPR, which I'm not quite sure how they did, but they did. QPR must have been awful. But I was surprised. Obviously they came out all guns blazing. But I just think in the end, our quality's told. In the end, okay, they got the penalty and stuff, but which we'll talk about. But let them a little bit back into the game, which was disappointing. But yeah, I agree. I agree with everybody. Really, I think Sheaf made a difference, a big difference, being in the team. It's nice to have him back, and I thought we were good value for the win overall.
Yeah,
I think you forget, don't you? I mean, Sheep coming back in, we've sort of been making do without him. But as soon as he comes back in, you see that quality.
You can see the difference. Yeah, definitely.
And I think you sort of forget about that when he's not there. But yeah.
Yeah, and young Howie did well, to be fair.
Yeah.
He came and did a good job, but he hasn't got, he's only a young lad and he's got his career ahead of him. He'll have plenty more opportunities further on down the line. But you can just see that class that Sheaf offers, can't you? When he's on the ball, he wins them little 50-50 tackles and he does a lot of the dirty work, if you like, that people sometimes don't realise, off the ball. You can see it if you're at the ground. You probably can't see it all the time on TV. But you can, if you're certainly at the stadium, you can see he's off the ball, running and closing down and stuff like that.
I want to bring up a couple of flashpoints in the first half after we score. Two real big instances I felt which could have altered the game. The first one was Gyökeres's yellow card, and obviously Blackpool equalised the penalty. I mean, the second flashpoint was the penalty that wasn't given for Blackpool. I think it was Hamer brought down their player.
Yeah.
Josh, what was your views on the Gyökeres incident and the penalty incident that wasn't given?
I think firstly, people that are saying that Gyökeres should have been red carded need to look themselves in the mirror, because there's no chance that incident results in a red card. I think yellow card is fair enough. I think he's got to be careful though, because he should know by now that teams are going to do that against him. And I don't blame Mick McCarthy at all. You want to try and take Gyökeres out of the game. If you have to play those dark hearts, play them by all means. But, Gyökeres should be a bit more clever, try and box a bit more clever and try not to react. It's much easier said than done. I'm sure we've all played football at some point in our lives. And when you're in that split second, it's very hard to control yourself. But I think you've got to try and rein it in a bit, because, against other referees, it could have been a red. And on the Hamer challenge, I think that's more of a penalty than the one that was given. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that it wasn't given. And again, I don't blame Mick McCarthy at all, because I'd be absolutely fuming if I was him, because if they get a penalty and they score that, it's a different game. In the grand scheme of things, we still score 4, but little moments like that, can work against you. We've been there many times this season, many times, and I think we need to consider ourselves lucky, to be fair.
Vicky, Ken, you was at the game. What was your view of the instance?
Yeah, I mean, from where I was, I didn't quite see the Vic incident originally. I have watched it back since, and it does look like a red card. I mean, if the referee had seen it, and to be honest, I can see the referee in a good position, and it looks as if he can see it from. He's not a million miles away, but he obviously didn't see what we've seen, and it looks a red card. It looks a bit worse than it probably is, but I've seen them given a red card, so we're probably a bit fortunate there. But I'm not going to moan about that, because I'm not going to feel sorry for Blackpool on that, because as Josh says, many a times this occasion things like that have gone against us. So it does even itself out during the season. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I'm just glad we haven't got VAR in the Championship, because that probably would have been given as a red card. But he was tugging and pulling and pushing Vic all game. And it was noted none of the Blackpool players got booked. I don't think they had one single booking, which is amazing, really, the amount of niggly fouls they did off the ball. And I think we had 3, didn't we? We had 3 bookings. So, they got away with a lot, to be fair. So I don't think they got too many complaints, to be honest. But Vic was taking a lot of stick, and he probably did overreact a little bit, maybe a bit more forceful than he should have. But yeah, he was probably very fortunate to stay on the pitch. Looking back at it, yeah.
What's your view, Vicky?
Yeah, I think it was probably the same as Ken at the game. I couldn't, because it was the other side So it looked like not a lot at the game. It looked like they were sort of jostling with each other to try and get away. And I at the time I thought the yellow card was harsh, but having watched it back, obviously there was more to it than we could really see at the game. I think, a lot of Blackpool fans are trying to say it was a punch. It wasn't a punch. He didn't try to punch him. He's just got frustrated and throwing an arm out. The Blackpool fans are trying to make more out of it than there was. I think I think that there's a degree of argument to say we were lucky because some refs would have said just raising your arm and throwing it about would have been a red card for some referees. So we probably were lucky, and I think that like Josh said, he needs to learn to control that to a certain degree. Like maybe get some lessons off him about you can't let these things affect you in the game, because if he'd have got sent off, that would have just changed the whole dynamic of the game for us. So he needs to learn that he's going to get niggles. He's going to be like singled out by opposition managers to be the player to try and like wind up, and he can't react because it'll cost us games. And luckily, it obviously didn't this time because the ref's just given the yellow and we've moved on. But it could have completely changed the dynamic of the game, couldn't it? I think so. I think he needs to learn from that really, and just and sort of punish them by scoring and doing influential things and thinking I'm just going to ignore the fact that they're trying to take me out every 5 minutes and just do what he's good at. And so I mean that's the way to do it, isn't it? He goes on and he sets up Sheaf for a goal. That's what you do to like get your own back. You make them pay that way. So
I thought Bioca was very lucky to stay on the pitch, in my opinion. I thought to me, I saw on a replay it didn't look clever. I take the point that he's been marked very closely and there's a lot of things going off the ball, but you can't react like that. And I was very, very pleased the referee only brandished yellow card, because if that's me refereeing, being an ex-referee myself, that's for me the red card. So I was delighted that it was only a yellow card with my Coventry City hat on. And I thought the penalty that wasn't given was again a very Mark Robbins admitted on the interview after.
He did.
He wasn't given. So
I've seen them given.
I think like Josh said, that was more of a penalty than the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Josh was
I thought it was. I think the first one was a penalty. To be fair, I'm not blaming McFadden for that. It's a poor pass from Ben Sheaf.
It was a bit more. It's a clumsy tackle. It was a clumsy tackle to make in the box.
It was clumsy, but
Sheaf make a decision.
But she's played a poor pass, and he's put Fads in a difficult position. So I don't really blame Fads as much for that one.
No.
But let's. I'm just going to read out a few comments from our audience just about Saturday. Let's have a look what we got here. Just on Dabo, your average Coventry fan. Dabo didn't do great, but his run and shot led to our corner for the second goal. We'll talk about the second goal in a bit. Glenn Watkin, even Glenn, CJ Hamilton causing problems for the first 30 minutes. Then Dabo seemed to push him back, and Hamilton wasn't great defensively against Dabo. Dabo needs to be more consistent, like Jake Bidwell. I thought Bidwell was brilliant, but we'll come on to that in a bit. Mick feels that Dabo was very poor and will be replaced in the summer. That's an interesting shout. That's probably something we'll talk about for a future podcast. Sky Blue Sam, I think Vic could easily have been sent off, and he had 2 or 3 goes at the Blackpool player. His view on the second pen, I think Hammer gets a touch on the ball, and Yates tries to ensure contact was made. So it's been a very varying degrees of opinions from our audience on various things. Let's move on to sort of the second goal and kind of Tyler Walker as well. I thought Tyler Walker was absolutely fantastic yesterday. I don't know what you guys' thoughts were, Josh. I thought for me, arguably our best player yesterday. I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, probably not. He probably didn't play as well as he did against Brentford a couple of seasons back, but it's probably up there with his top 3 performances in Sky Blue. I think he was, really good. And I think one of the big criticisms, certainly from me, in the past about Walker was his body language, especially off the ball. Didn't see any of that yesterday. So whether there's been conversations had with staff or, he's tried to work on that himself, I think it's a really positive, it's really positive to see. I think that, he was kind of looking at start against Hull. When he scored against Huddersfield the week before, I thought he was nailed on start against Hull. So it sort of shocked me that he started yesterday. But again, come the international break, 2 weeks' time when it's concluded, I wouldn't mind seeing him start again. Obviously it's dependent on Godden, whether he can play 90, but I'll have no qualms if Walker starts against Stoke.
Yeah. His last chance to lose now, isn't it, Ken, for Tyler Walker, because obviously he's out of contract after this season. I mean, he's got to pull out all the stops, hasn't he? I mean, if he keeps playing like that, is he a player that possibly Mark Robbins should consider, offering a contract to or not?
Possibly. I mean, it depends on what he's thinking. Of course, it all depends on, if we go up or not, I suppose, as well, with the playoff situation. But, he can only do himself favours. If he gets a chance, he's got to take it. And we all know he can score goals, albeit he hasn't scored many because he hasn't had many chances, to be fair. But when he has come in, he has tended to score, hasn't he, on the odd occasion? So he's a different type of player, isn't he, to Big Vic? So, but he's handy to have, and at the moment we need as many bodies as possible because we've got too many injuries. So, long as he keeps... fans are not stupid. If they see a player working hard and closing down and running, they'll get behind him, And he's not everybody's cup of tea, as I said earlier. But if he's in the team and Mark Roberts has picked him, and he obviously sees him every day in training, so he must be doing something right, to get into the team. And he's got ahead of Maguire again, who hasn't really impressed, has he, since he's come here. He did okay, I suppose, when he played the other night, but he obviously. Walker's gone ahead of him again, so he's got a good chance. So let's see if he can start scoring goals. You never know. Goals change games, don't they?
I think where Tyler Walker was unlucky yesterday's game was when we were 1-0 up. Gyökeres gets in a really good position, bearing down on goal a bit, and
should have passed to him.
Had a really good run on the right hand side. He needs to feed him. He had a free shot on goal. No one really closed him down. Then Gyökeres decides to go for the shot, and then all right, won the corner. But then they cleared the corner, and it's that little thing. Tyler Walker, for me, if I'm Tyler Walker, I'd be really frustrated with that because I'm thinking I've only got eight games now left this season. Trying to earn a contract, you need. I just need that bit of luck, that pass, something to go your way, so you can get that shot away and get a goal, get us 2-0 up, and then we're really on the front foot. So that's the thing. I think Tyler Walker hasn't done himself any harm. He's done really well yesterday. I thought arguably our best play. I thought he was really, really good.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah.
So obviously going back to the game, 1-1, and then Dabo, obviously, despite the fact he had a poor first half, unleashed an not unstoppable shot. The keeper saved it, but unlost a really rasping shot, which was tipped away for a corner. And then we scored from the corner from Hamer. It was just that luck we needed, wasn't it, Vic? It was a lot of time. A number of games I see Hamer do, kick in swinging corners, and is going straight under the keepers, and keepers are handling it quite well. And this time, I think it was an own goal, wasn't it?
I couldn't see it very well, to be honest, Mark, because I was sat further, they're probably the goal, and you can't believe it. It's a fairly new stadium, I think, isn't it? And they've got pillars in the way, so I had a pillar in my way, and it was up the other end. So I just was like, "Has that gone in?" And everyone's cheering. I'm like, "Oh, it's gone in, yeah." But I didn't really see what happened, to be honest. It wasn't until the replay that I could sort of see that. Like what had happened. So I think there's a bit of luck. 'Cause it obviously just going in 2-1 up, it took the wind out of Blackpool's sails a little bit. I think if they'd have gone in 1-1, McCarthy would have probably sent them out. The message would have been different at half time, wouldn't it? And I think that just helped us. Good time to score always, isn't it? Just before the half time. So
yeah. And then half time, 2-1 up, and my thought was we were the better side, but I think we had a couple of decisions there that went in our favour. So I was delighted to come in at half time at 2-1, and then we come out second half. And Josh, McFadze, it's almost a finish out of a Godden or a Gyökeres textbook, wasn't it? It was a fantastic finish. It was probably one of the finest goals I've ever seen score, certainly the Sky Blue shirt. Maybe the Forest goal was good as well.
It was genuinely a striker's finish, just the way he got his head over it, hit it hard and low. Obviously, keeper had no chance. And I think, on the balance of play at that point, I think we were good value for a 3-1 lead. I actually think, if anything, we could have scored a few more. But now I'm really happy for Fads because you can tell he's got a passion for the club. I think he's gone on record saying that it's his favourite club to play for in his career. He's getting better with age. And I just feel bad because I said this a couple of weeks ago on our space. A few of us were sort of thinking at the start of the season he'd play maybe once a week because of his age, but he's proven us all wrong. And, I don't think we've lost the game since he's come back, which I find remarkable. So you can't underestimate his value because, he's changed the dynamics of our team, ridiculously since he's come back. And I just hope that he can keep it up, because I'd love him here for another 5 years because I think he's that good.
Well, he's 36, I think, so he'll be my age by 5 years, which is still young at heart and really, 41. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I thought it was a killer goal, though, wasn't it, Ken? That goal.
Yeah, it was, and it was a great strike. To be fair, it was good. And he said in his interview afterwards, I heard him talking on CWR, saying that he didn't know how to celebrate, when he scored, so he had to just run over to the fans and try and he's got to do a bit more practicing on his celebrations. He says,
Yeah.
but he certainly enjoyed it. It was a great strike, and it probably made up for the own goal he scored, I suppose, the other night against Wigan in a way. So he's probably, he was a bit unfortunate with that, I know, but he couldn't do much about it. But it's nice to see him when they go in the other end. And yeah, he's normally known for his headers, isn't he? He don't normally score with his feet. He's normally with his head if he gets a goal. But yeah, it was a fantastic strike.
When it went in, I thought, great goal, Gyökeres. And I thought, no, it's a bit fancy. He's turning away to the crowd. I was like, bloody hell, I mean, that's incredible. It was like, I mean, Harry Kane would have been happy with that. Any striker would have been happy with that.
Without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Now, obviously, now we take the fall through Matty Godden. I mean, the controversy, I guess, of that goal was Hamer gets what appears, obviously didn't matter we scored, but it was a bit of an elbow by the Blackpool player on Hamer, wasn't it? And
yes,
comments that certainly I've been seeing on social media is that was as bad, if not worse, than Gyökeres. But I don't know. What was your view on that? I mean, I don't really care we've scored out of it, but do you think that was possibly a yellow card, Ken? If you're a referee,
yeah, definitely, without a doubt. It looked pretty bad, and fair play to Hamer. He didn't react because he'd normally in the past he'd react to something like that, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And he's calmed down a lot now. But yeah, it looked pretty bad, really. And when it looked worse when I seen it look back on the replay. But as I say, they got away with a lot. Blackpool players, a lot of niggly fouls. And didn't have one single booking, which I found was absolutely amazing, really, for the amount of fouls they did in the game. And then we seemed to do like a little foul here and there, and then we got booking. So, yeah, I thought the referee was, a bit inconsistent there when he was flashing his cards about. So it could easily, that could easily have been a red card as well, really, when you look at it. Similar sort of incident. So,
Yeah, I've been impressed with Hamer's discipline, though. Generally, I think he picked up a yellow against Wigan, but generally, since the 2 reds at the start of the season, his discipline's been spot on, really. And I mean, this might be slightly controversial, but I think he'd be my player of the season at the moment. I know Gyökeres has been brilliant. I just think Hamer's just all-round play. It's not just his attacking play; his defensive play has been really good as well. I just think he just tips it for me. But
he's managed to work out how to get that line, hasn't he? Between being like before, it just would tip over the balance between too aggressive and then he'd get himself sent off. And that he's managed now to just get that line where he's still got that commitment and he like can get the ball and sort of fight the opposition, but on the right side of the law now, just that right side of not getting sent off every week. And so, I mean, I think like we said earlier, like that's what Vic needs to learn about, like things like flailing your arm around. You got to learn that you can't do that. You're just going to be on the right side of the law. There's nothing wrong with being tough. It's going to be legal, hasn't it? And Hamer's really just learned that. And I think it's just made him. I mean, he's up there for the player of the season with me as well. I think he's just the quality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird thing actually. It's like he's got better. Maybe because he's not thinking about, I don't know, I'm going to be careful or whatever. I don't know, but he just seems it's made him a better player. Just reining it in a bit strangely. So yeah, and I thought he'd have been up there with my man of the match for yesterday. I thought.
Yeah. Well, that win lifts us up to 8th for the league, just 3 points now off the playoffs. Obviously, results went our way. I'm going to take a small break. So second half of the show, we're going to be talking about the whole sort of weekend with at Blackpool, Ken and Picky. Well, certainly Ken in particular will talk us more about that. If we get a bit of time, we'll also talk about sort of the next sort of few more games left of the season. Obviously, we've got a bit of a gap, 2 week break for the international break. So yeah, stay tuned for that, everyone, and we'll speak to you very shortly. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sky Blue Fans TV podcast. So we're going to go part 2 of the show, talk about sort of the weekend in Blackpool. I think Ken's probably the best person to speak on this. I think, Vicky, you went up yesterday. First of all, what was it like? You know, Josh and I and Vicky, to a lesser extent, didn't really have a weekend in Blackpool. What was it like?
Brilliant. This is the word. One word. I arrived there. Obviously, I went up on the Friday, and I arrived there probably about 2:00. It's like I was there before Miles. Miles was probably a couple of hours behind me, and checked into the hotel and everything. And once I got into Blackpool, you could see it was there's a lot of Sky Blue fans around, you know, in the pubs already. And this was on the Friday, so you just had a feeling, and you know, it was going to be a mega weekend for people from Coventry. And the first pub we went into, they had all the two-tone music on. The DJ was playing all the Coventry music, and it was full of Sky Blue fans. This was like 3:00 on Friday afternoon. So I thought, God, I mean, there's loads. And I know myself, a lot of friends of mine were not coming up till the Saturday, so we had a hell of a lot still to come, you know. So yeah, I mean, the night went on, and we had a really good night on the Friday night. More people started arriving, and you can see it getting busier. We had a couple of designated pubs like the Manchester, the Castle. They were Coventry away fans only pubs, if you like. So we were obviously in them, and there was a couple of the back street pubs we went into as well, which were very good. And then on the Saturday, obviously, a lot more people arrived. I think you arrived on the Saturday, didn't you, Victoria?
Did yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what was when you got there? Because you came up just for the day, didn't you?
But I didn't really get to soak up much of the pre-match after.
Did you manage to get some fish and chips?
Yeah.
Because we got some fish and chips. You got to have fish and chips when you're in Blackpool, haven't you? We managed to get some fish and chips and stuff. But yeah, it's the whole place was taken over. I mean, I'll show you some of the photos we had at the game. We had these hats. You've probably seen these hats. You've probably seen we had 9 of us. There was 9 of us, and we all had these "Kiss Me Quick" hats and glasses. And in the end, one of our party threw one of the hats. Well, there's a couple of hats that went onto the pitch, and Matty picked it up and put it on. There he is. There, look, with one of our hats on, which was fantastic. It was brilliant. I mean, yeah, there's some of the fans. There's, you can see us in the crowd there, just about. With all the hats on, all the lads with the hats on. Miles's lad and all them lot. They're all part of our party. Let's have a look. This is us in the karaoke bar. This was last night. This was like getting on a bit during the night. So we'd obviously had a few bevies by then. And one of the lads is from Ipswich. The guy on the far right hand side, as you're looking, he's from Ipswich, so he had his flag with him. So he takes that to every game, to be fair, and he does travel a lot. We see him at a lot of the away games. He puts the long distance from Ipswich to Coventry just for the home games, but he goes to away games as well, and he brings his flag with him. So we all had a photo under the tower, all with all our hats on again, as you can see. We then ventured onto the beach with the donkeys. You know, we had they wouldn't let us ride a donkey, unfortunately, because we were all too heavy. It was kids only, so we were allowed to ride them. But he let us have a photo, which was great. These just some few pictures in the ground again. It's just fantastic, you know. The whole weekend was brilliant. You know, it was great. We had a little video here. That's a video. There's somebody in one of our group asleep.
Got too much.
Yeah, we got a bit too much there, I think. And then it was just fantastic. You know, I mean, this is a little video. Yeah. Fourth goal, gone in goal, I So there you go. Yeah, that's very good. That's all.
Lots of fun by all.
Yeah, lots of fun by all. So it was good. Very good.
That's what the result made it, didn't it? Because I mean, we could have all gone up there, lost 1-0, and it just would have ruined. It just ruins the weekend, doesn't it? The result just made it.
And we got stacks more. I mean, we couldn't fit them all on. We got so many videos and pictures of everything that went on, and it was just so much. We crammed so much in that weekend. It was fantastic, and the result made it brilliant.
Just made it. Well, I only didn't go. I was only going about a week and a half ago. So I'm so glad.
It's a shame you never stopped over, Victoria.
Yeah, it was too late though.
The karaoke bar with us.
I know that'd have been good fun. Next time, Ken. Next time.
Yeah, it's all good. Brilliant weekend. Brilliant result. Yeah. And let's hope that. My biggest worry now is obviously we're going into a break, aren't we? And you know what we're like when we go into breaks. Do we come back out with all guns blazing, or we start slow again like we did with the World Cup break? Hopefully not.
Well, let's look ahead to the next 8 games. So obviously 24 points to play for. Next opponents is Stoke City, then it's Swansea away, Watford at home. I'm just trying to remember all our games, but that's definitely our next 3. Josh, from looking ahead to the next 8 fixtures, are they? How many points? I mean, it's a bit of a hard question to ask, but do you think they're the games that you feel we could, get enough points to get in the playoffs, or not?
I think we've got it in us, without a doubt. We've got the quality in the squad, and at least we've seen before we started, Mark. At least with this international break, your Allens, maybe Panzo to an extent, we can get them a little bit closer to fully fit. I think with 24 points to play for, you've got to be looking at anywhere between 16 and 18 as a minimum. I think it is going to have to be 5 or 6 wins. And I think probably the only 2 games that I'm probably concerned about really are probably Watford at home and Middlesbrough away last game of the season. I think the other 6 games I'm feeling relatively confident about. Especially when you see performances like yesterday, backed by thousands on the road, control the game all the way through. There's no reason why we can't do that another 4 times away from home. But Cov being Cov, it'll probably go down to the last game of the season. We'll probably have to go there and win. But we don't do things the easy way, do we? So, no. Listen, I thought Wigan in midweek, I thought we'd screwed it up because I thought that they're the sort of games you need to go and win. Obviously, again, I'm proven wrong by the Sky Blues, and I think with 8 games, we've just got to go for it. We've got nothing to lose really. Worst comes to worst, it's still a top half finish hopefully, and we can go again next season with a summer where it's going to be the biggest rebuild probably since we come down.
Yeah, exactly that. Vicky, and we'll go to Ken after. Vicky, can we do it? Can we get in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think like Josh said, we can do it. I think typical Cov, we won't do it easy, will we? It'll have to be, there'll be like twists and turns every game now to the end of the season. We'll think we've blown it, then we'll come back in. But there's absolutely no reason why we couldn't be one of those teams that make the playoffs. We've definitely got the quality. I think we've been incredibly unlucky with the season that we've had by way of injuries and the whole hoo-ha at the beginning, because I think I read an interview with Robin to the week, and he was saying if we'd had a proper start to the season, we'd already been in the playoffs. And I think I'd agree with him on that. I think that the fact that we're even in with a shot with all we've had to put up with this year just shows what an amazing job he's done, really. I think there's absolutely no reason why we can't get enough points between now and the end of the season. I think, like Josh said, most of those games are definitely winnable. I think that Middlesbrough definitely is a tough one. Ideally, we wouldn't want to be going into that having to win it, but that would just be typical Cov, wouldn't it, really? Go up there, maybe stop them getting second and get ourselves in the playoffs or something like that. That would just be the typical way to end the season. But yeah, for me, until it's mathematically impossible, I think we just dream and we see where it takes us, and we just enjoy it, because we've had enough bad times. I think like we just got to enjoy moments like this where we're in with a shot of something positive and just take it for what it is. And got
a couple of comments here. Glenn feels that we've got the easiest running, but that's on paper. But weird results can happen, as shown by the weekend.
Yeah, we are. I mean, looking at, we've got Stoke, Swansea, Watford, the next 3 games. Stoke at home, Swansea away, Watford at home. So, there's no easy games in this league, is there? And we have got a reasonably good run in compared with other teams. I'm looking really to. I think we can beat Stoke at home. I think we can at least get a point away at Swansea and beat Watford at home. That's the only reason why we can't get at least 7 points from their next 3 games. Then we've got QPR away, and we know what problems they're having at the moment. So we've got to take full advantage of going there and getting 3 points, haven't we, if we can? Then we've got we've got their Blackburn, Reading, Birmingham, and then we end up with Middlesbrough, which is on paper, Middlesbrough's obviously going to be the hardest game away from home, last game of the season. But hopefully, I just got a funny feeling Middlesbrough will be in second place by then and hopefully secure their automatic promotion, because I think they're one of the other informed teams at the moment, aren't they, Middlesbrough? There's no easy games. We can all sit and look at fixtures and look on paper. We can think, we should win that, but we did that against Hull and Wigan, didn't we? And I don't think any of us had 2 draws for that game, did we? Well, I think we probably put us down for wins, and we never. And then we go and win away at Blackpool. So, it's a funny old league this is, and there's be a lot more twists and turns, I think, before the season ends. But yeah, we're in with a shout, and that's the main thing. Considering the season, the way we started, it's brilliant. The way that Mark Robbins has got the team going again, and all the injuries we've had, and the pitch fiasco at the start of the season. To be where we are now is, beyond our wildest dreams, really, isn't it? Because nobody would have expected us to be sitting in this position now from the start of the season, what we had.
I think the other thing to factor in is, bear in mind we won yesterday, not just the win, it's the margin of the win as well. We've got three clear goals. We gained 3 goals yesterday, and now I think got a better goal difference than Millwall, and Norwich were around about the same goal difference as Norwich. So as good as it was winning yesterday, it's the fact that we've got those extra goals does help. It makes a big difference, and now we're sort of there or thereabouts. I think Stoke will be a hard game. I think Stoke are in good form at the moment, and there won't be easy opposition. But we've beaten Stoke before. We beat them 2-0 at their place, and I think we can certainly get the same result. Swansea, never do well against Swansea.
Always a difficult place, isn't it?
How we didn't beat them at home, I don't know, and I'm still annoyed about that result when we're 3-0 up and drew 3-3. So we do owe Swansea a result. Watford will be tough opposition. We did win at their place, obviously, previously. And they're sort of similar position to us, and they've dropped pointless today. So I think every game's going to be tough. Let's make no bones about it. If you're playing, as we proved last couple of games, when you're playing against teams near the bottom who are fighting for their lives, those games, if anything, could be harder than the teams around us or above us, because those games are where you're playing teams where suddenly they find an extra gear or two, and suddenly they start playing well, and that goes in any division. So I think every game is tough, but I think if we approach the game in the mentality that we have been approaching and try and get on the front foot, particularly in our home games, but all our games, we're more for the match than anyone in this league. So I think it's all to play for, but it's a really exciting time of the season. I mean, I have to be honest. When I look back at the start of the season, and I remember going to the game at Carrow Road at Norwich, and we lost 3-0.
Yeah,
we were absolutely dreadful that game. We were shocking, and I literally walked away thinking we're in a dogfight this season. And thankfully we're not, obviously. And it's great to be talking about can we get in the playoffs or not, rather than can we stay up or not, because that's what I was thinking back in September. I was really, really worried about how the season's going to pan out. And I know in the various chats we've had, you like, Mark, you're talking absolute rubbish, and it's proven I was talking absolute rubbish, which doesn't make a change. But anyway, so I think there's a lot to be positive about with the club. Obviously, the other thing to factor in the summer is, lots of players out of contracts, and we've got to think about things like that. So I think we just got to go for it. We've got to put everything we can to get into the top 6. I think we can do, because I think Millwall and Blackburn, I don't think they're fantastic, if I have to be honest. I think we're as good as those clubs. Even Luton. Luton are in the fourth, but look at the games we played at Luton. We matched them both games. We got 2 draws against them. So I look at the teams above us and I think, are they really that better than us? Okay, the exception being Norwich. I thought we made Norwich look like Real Madrid in the 2 games. We were shocking against them in both games. So, but other than that, we've got to go for it. I think, say worst case, if we get top 10, then that's a good season, because that's better than what we did last season. Last season we were 12th position with 63 points. And this season we've got 57 already. 8 games to go. We're on track to get more than approaching 70 points if we keep playing the way we're playing. So it's definitely lots to be positive about.
Yes, absolutely. Because there's no reason why there's no reason why we can't. I mean, we all know how well we can play on the day. We can beat anybody, especially at home, I think. And none of them teams that we got to play at home. We've got 4 away, 4 at home, haven't we? So. I'm not scared of any of them teams really that we've got to play at home. I say away might probably be a bit more difficult, but I think we've got a great chance. And as I say, we've got a great run in compared with other teams. A lot of the teams above us have got to play each other. So a lot of points will be won and lost there. So, and it's injuries as well. Obviously, we've got to make sure we keep Big Vic fit. We can't afford to lose him. And suspensions, we can't afford any silly red cards or anything like that at this stage of the season, because that's when we need all our bodies. We haven't got as many as it is with the players we've got out for the season, And you've got to remember, we've done this with probably, one of our best players out all season, which is the majority of the season since Boxing Day, Callum O'Hare, who creates a lot of stuff for us. And we've done it without him. And now we've got Casey Palmer out for the season as well, which is a bit of bad news. And Jamie Allen's maybe come back after the international break. Hopefully, if he steps up his fitness, maybe he could be in contention for coming back. So, yeah, you need a little bit of luck along the way, don't you? As well, you need decisions to go against, go for you and not against you. And hopefully we can plod on and get the amount of points we need. But we've got to take every game as it comes. The next game, Stoke. And then we're going to go for maximum points, simple as that, and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I was going to bring a couple of comments from our audience. Glenn, I'll take going to Borough with a chance of the playoffs. That's fine by me. There's no pressure on us. All the pressure's on Millwall, Blackburn, Norwich and Watford. Mick's got a slightly different view. I really don't want it to go down to the Middlesbrough game.
No, thank you.
Mark Harrington makes the point about we need to go up this season before we lose big players, lose them. It could take another 3 to 4 years to rebuild using the Brentford approach. We've got to take full advantage of the situation that we're in. And Glenn's final point about momentum is massive. Not losing becomes a habit as does losing. I guess the only thing I'm slightly concerned about, if I was to be one, is we've had breaks before and we've come out, we've played after a break and we haven't been the same team. That's my only slight, me being the glass half empty type of perspective. That's the only thing I'm slightly worried about. I'm hoping that won't be the case. I hope we go to the Stoke game and we play like we've been playing, because. But make no mistake, Stoke won't be an easy game. You look at their wins this season on the road. They went to Sunderland recently and won 5-1. And that might be a freak result, but it just goes to show that you cannot underestimate any team in this division. You've got to be on it every game. And that's something I'm slightly concerned about. But look, it's great that we're talking about can we get to playoffs or not, because I tell you what, I certainly even after like Wrexham, I know it was a cup game, but even after Wrexham when we lost quite badly, I was thinking it's going to be a desperate season. It's going to be sort of nowhere this season. But you've got to give credit to not just Robbins, but I think Fads coming back has been massive. It's been no coincidence that since Fads has been back, that's why we're 9 unbeaten. We haven't lost a game since Fads returned back from injury. Luke McManally at defence has also been awesome. And obviously Ben Wilson has kept all those clean sheets. So there's lots of positives, and we just got to keep it going now. As I say, momentum's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think if in theory you get 24 points, that's 81 points. We'll be the playoffs easily. We won't get top 2, but we'll easily be in the playoffs. So I don't think we'll need 81 points to get there. I think I kind of agree with what Josh was saying about 16, 17 points for me. That's about 74, 75.
Yeah, I think that's about the level, isn't it, around that mark?
I think that's the cut-off point. So, last question. Yes or no to playoffs? I'm going to go you, Josh. Yes or no? I'm going to put you on the spot.
I'm going to say no, not because we're not capable. I just think that it's going to be really tricky. I think, if we win, I think if we're going to get in the playoffs, we need to win our 4 remaining home games and then hope that you pick up a win or 2 on the road. And looking at some of our games, we've got it in us, don't get me wrong, but I just think it's going to be a little bit too much to do. I'd love to be proven wrong, don't get me wrong. But I think, listen, if we take it game by game, there's still going to be many twists and turns. No one expected yesterday Huddersfield to go to Millwall and win. There's going to be plenty more games like that where there's so many unexpected results. We take it game by game, play our stuff. We'll see. I don't think it'll happen this season, but again, I'd happily be proven wrong.
Ken, yes or no?
Yes, I'm optimistic. I think we can do it. Providing you need a bit of luck, don't you? And you're right. I fancy us to win the home games, not a problem. It's just away from home. Obviously, we need a little bit of luck and away games at Swansea, QPR. Yes, I think we can win there. Blackburn's going to be difficult away, and Middlesbrough obviously away the last game of the season. But that's going to be very difficult. But we need to win the home games if we've got any chance at all, I think. And then hopefully, as Josh said, we can pick some bonus points up away from home, and hopefully other results, because there are a lot of them playing each other, will go in our favour.
Yeah, and Vicky, yes or no for you?
Oh, I'm torn really. You know me, I'm generally really optimistic. So my optimistic head is saying yes, we're going to do it. But I also, to a degree, agree with Josh. Really, I think that maybe I think we might just finish just a couple of points outside, which will be really frustrating. But I think we need to be careful that if we finish just a couple of points outside, that we don't see that as a bad season, because I think that it's still been a really positive season in the right direction. And I really believe that if we don't do it this year, that next year could be a really strong season. Now that we've got all this other rubbish sorted out outside of the sort of playing situation, so I'm going to say yes. Though that's what I'm going to say. Yes, we can do it.
Well,
you'll be surprised to say, I'm not. I think.
Oh, no.
Shock
mark.
Yeah. Well,
where do you think we'll slip up then? Away from home? Because I think I'm quite confident we'll win the home game.
Worry about Swansea away. Worry about Borough away. I think Blackburn we can get a result. Watford at home, I'm not. I think that'll be a tough one, but I think we can win.
Yeah,
I agree with you saying about the home games. Yes, we're good enough to win, because Reading and Birmingham are not good travellers. Birmingham are pretty average. Borough away, I think that's going to be a real tough game.
It is. The only hope we've got there is that they've cemented their automatic spot. Because I think they will. I think they'll jump above Sheffield United now that they've got in the semi-final FA Cup, and I think they might, they might rest a few players on that last game of the season. That's the only hope. We'll probably get a good result there. Maybe.
Yeah, and also I think you've got to factor in. I think there's been rumours about Sheffield United's financial issues as well. Possible administration, 6 points deductions there as well. Obviously, we'll see in the coming weeks whether that transpires, but. Yeah, I think Borough have been awesome. I mean, Chuba Akpom has been, I think, top goal scorer in the Championship. Has been amazing. And you look at the way they win their games. I mean, they won 4-0 against Preston yesterday, and that's a team we can't beat. We can't beat since I've been alive. Probably, it's been ridiculous. Anyway, enough of that. I think I'd have taken top 10 at start. I'd have taken top 10 at halfway point. Would I take top 10 now? No, I think we've got to try and go for the 6th spot, because you just don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what's, if Gyökeres stays. There's lots of things we can talk about that we can't really control. So I think we can do it, but I just feel we're going to be just short. I think about 8th or 9th will be, which is still a good season, but we've got a good side there. Let's not make no bones about it. We're making progress, and if we better where we were last season, that's progress for me, the club. But then we've got to kick on next season and get up, because we've been outside the top flight for over 20 odd years, and we've endured a lot of pain on that time, and we want to get back to the big time. We want to get back to the Premier League, and that's the ambition that I'm sure Doug King has and Mark Robbins has. Mark Robbins has stated publicly that he doesn't want to leave our club. He wants to be there and get us back to where we belong in the Premier League. And I hope to see that happen. Hopefully it'll be this season, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. So I'm going to wrap up tonight's show. If you want for more Coventry City chat, Josh has got the All Things Sky Blue Twitter show at 9:00, so tune in for that as well. Thanks to our guests tonight, Ken, Vicky, Josh.
No problem.
Thanks to everyone with the comments. Been really appreciated. I think we'll keep you informed about another show next week, because obviously there's a little break. But
we're back Thursday. We are back. Yeah. We've got a show on Thursday night. I'll be on Thursday. We'll be talking basically for the upcoming Stoke game in a couple of weeks. So yeah.
Well, so that's Thursday 7:30. So stay tuned for that. Thanks everyone for listening. Play out Sky Blues, and we'll talk to you on Thursday night. Good night.
Good night, all.